I'm gonna let y'all finish, but Renee did not make good choices on January 7th. She now leaves behind a daughter. Now I think it only makes sense for me to roll the footage. Before I give you my thoughts, you clearly didn't ask for, but get for free because I said so. You're welcome. So, what did y'all think about all of that? It looks like someone deliberately inserted themselves into a predicament that clearly wasn't healthy for them, only for them to pay the ultimate price as a consequence. When's the last time anyone has had a life lesson? That's what you're gonna get here. Yeah, those are my thoughts in a nutshell. While it's so easy for me to cop out with the fuck around statement, it ends up being a simple reminder of actions and consequences. Regardless of you being of the opinion of her being an innocent individual murdered in cold blood, using her Second Amendment rights to justify what she did, using her child as a crutch, and even if you're of the opinion that the ICE agent that killed her was totally justified in what he did, all of this would have been prevented if Renee made better choices that day. Put aside your emotions for once and look at this thing logically. Surely Renee had better things to do that day than impede traffic and agitate not only ICE agents, but people with guns. Yeah, she had every right to protest peacefully, but just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. And even better than that, whatever you do in life, it also wouldn't hurt to go about it wisely. Yes, it is tragic. It is unfortunate. And it would have been nice if Renee considered the things she had to live for, like her daughter. But at the same time, poking a bear and riding off into the sunset recklessly and foolishly towards chaos isn't going to give you a kind response. I know, accountability is so hard and consequences for your actions is unfathomable, especially to this generation of human beings. But life isn't gonna stop because they're arrogant enough to think that consequences suddenly don't exist because their self-importance is so much greater. That's the problem with all of you crusaders. You've gotten so emboldened in your arrogance that you forget that at the end of the day, when you get humbled, you're only gonna turn around and cry wolf. Yeah, there's a lot of shit wrong with the world and politics is at the heart of that. Personally, to me, politics is nothing more than a bunch of prepubescent children screeching at the top of their lungs about who's better than the other, which side is better, when they all at the end of the day need to look in a fucking mirror. Both sides are cooked in more than one way. And I would dare say that politics is not only that in a nutshell, but the original grift, if not one of the original grifts. I mean, look the fuck around. What has gotten better? I don't think that she deserved to die, but she clearly didn't make it easy for herself, did she? Regardless of what you feel and what you think, Renee would have still been alive today if she didn't take it upon herself to feel obligated to confront ICE agents when none of that had anything to do with her in the first place. She wasn't getting paid $10 an hour to do this. She didn't have a gun to her head, but she definitely had a daughter to tend to and the rest of her life to live. Yet you won't hear a whisper of this from those that claim to feel sorry for Renee. Because again, in today's crusader-driven world, accountability is even more non-existent than it ever was before. Speaking of justice for Renee, I always find these things utterly hilarious. How out of billions of us, of course, sharing all of this grief, they didn't even know this person existed until their death made headlines. Yeah, for you people, I always question your true motives. Heed the lecture, heed the warning. There's more to life when you live your life instead of trying to make a statement and save the doomed world you have no control over. The the world is what it is, not what you want it to be. And yeah, that ICE agent was definitely in front of that vehicle. And you can see him stepping aside so she won't run him over. But I do not believe her intention was to run him over. She looked like she was just trying to gun it since, you know, they were fed up with her at this point and tried to apprehend her. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier about actions and consequences, let alone inserting yourself not only into something that had nothing to do with you, that you were not obligated to entertain, but also something that clearly isn't good for your health, especially when the guy that killed her apparently has some traumatic baggage. I call that an occupational hazard. He's an ICE agent after all, so things like this should be anticipated at the very least, which doesn't make it any kind of good for someone harassing said individual. Choices and consequences, ladies and gentlemen. People these days are 10,000 times angrier and emotional in general than they've ever been. Everybody has lost their fucking mind. It's only going to get worse because politics is a war zone. People are way past the civil discourse. They just simply choose violence. It's all fair in politics. After all, she was just trying to intrusively protest. She wasn't, you know, speaking peacefully at a college campus. Yeah, that asshole had it coming. And it only took him to say things that you didn't like and were disagreeable and debatable. He leaves behind a family as well. Like I said, far left, far right, it doesn't matter. They're both cooked. All of you that think you're dialed in seem to be taking the distractions pretty well regardless.